Hi guys, welcome back to another video in the Which is Better series, where today we're going to be discussing the handstand push-up and the dip. The reason why we're discussing these two ones is looking at it from a vertical pulling motion of people that are looking to add this into their program. Which one of these two should they focus on? The purpose of this series is just to have a little bit of fun, discuss fitness in general, but also for any of you to discover which is the best exercise for you, because there isn't a universal best exercise, because all of us have unique situations, what we are looking for, what our chosen goals are, what our strength and our skill levels. And sometimes it's nice to have a little bit of information so we can look at a group of different things and decide out of all of those ideas which one of those exercises is going to be best for us in the current situation that we have with our skill, strength, and what our chosen goal is. So guys, what I want you to do is comment down below, let me know of the two which is the best exercise, which is the best vertical pulling exercise and why. And then I want you at the end of the video to comment down below again. Let me know, has your opinion changed? Is it the same? What swayed you, what didn't? And comment down below and create a discussion down there. If you find this video useful, make sure you give it a thumb so this video can get shared out, and let's jump straight into the video. So all of the videos in this series will follow a fairly similar structure of different things that I'm going to be looking at, where I'm going to be rating each exercise on these different sort of points that I'm going to be bringing up, coming up with different scenarios that might replicate the scenario that you're in, so you can decide which one is the best exercise for you. The first one we're going to be looking at is goal. What is the goal that you're going for? Some of the most common ones that we're going to be looking at today is going to be strength. Both of these exercises have the capability of getting you stronger. They're compound exercises. They use multiple muscles over multiple joints. So both of them have the capability of getting you stronger. Depending on which exercise allows you to work within the right rep range, so working between 1 and 6 will test and improve your strength. We only improve what we test. So one of these exercises that allows you to work within that rep range is going to test your strength. When it comes to building size and building muscle, again, both of these exercises are compound in nature. They're using multiple muscles, and depending on what rep range you're using, or how challenging it is for you, both of them have the capability of building muscle for you. So they're both great exercises for doing that. The only thing that's going to be different, and this is moving on to the next point, is muscle group. Is each one is going to be slightly different on where you are predominantly going to focus on that muscle group. If you're looking at the handstand push-up, you are more likely to get muscle growth in sort of the shoulders and the traps, compared to the dip, where you're more likely to get your focus in growth is going to be your chest. They're some of the prime movers. The shoulders do get worked in the dip, but when it comes to the shoulders, more of the focus is going to be on the shoulders. You will get maybe a little bit of upper chest work, but the main prime drivers in is going to be the shoulders and the traps, with also in both exercises the triceps coming in and assisting as well. Depending on what you do with your arms in the handstand push-up, whether you bring them in a little bit more narrow, you can actually place a little bit more of a focus on the triceps. So the distribution of which muscle groups you're going to be focused on could be a key defining point in what you're looking here. One example that I do want to bring up here, which is what sort of inspired this video, is for some people who are looking to do a vertical pull and a vertical push. Some people would classify the dip as a vertical push because you are coming down, but obviously if you're already doing the push-up, I think it makes more sense to do a handstand push-up over a dip, because the dip and the push-up are very, very similar in nature, even though one is horizontal and one is vertical, but the movement themselves and the muscles that you're using are very, very similar in nature. Where if you're looking for a vertical push because you already have the horizontal push in the form of the push-up, I would say you'll benefit more from doing a handstand push-up, because then you're getting a completely different movement, and you're going to get more of an activation with the shoulders and also the traps, or the triceps could be, in some cases, depending on what you're doing in your arms, more supplementary. That is actually going to give you a bit more of a well-rounded physique and strength and the muscle growth that you're going to have, because you'll have more of a shoulder dominant vertical push, as opposed to two pushing exercises, a vertical and a horizontal, that are both fairly chest dominant. So that's one thing that I wanted to bring up. The other thing is obviously movement. Like, what are you looking to focus on? If you're someone that's going to be focusing on the muscle up and just wants to focus on chest dominant exercises, maybe you want to use this as a way of developing the strength and move towards maybe the planche push-up, and obviously you'd be better doing a push-up variation. But maybe you just want something that's a harder workout, a harder exercise. Maybe, like I said, you want to move into sort of bar work, then obviously the dip is going to be a better option. However, if you're wanting to go into actual handstand work, and actually that is a key goal for you, a skill for you, then it's an obvious choice of focusing on the handstand push-up is going to be a more beneficial thing to focus on. So next thing we're going to be looking at is how easy is it to learn and how safe is it? From a safety standpoint, I would say from the get-go, the dip is probably going to be a lot safer than the handstand. In many cases, depending on how high your dip bar is, it's a lot easier that if you cannot lift yourself up, you can literally just drop down and your feet are there to assist you. When it comes to the handstand push-up, the problem with it is that your neck and your head is very, very exposed. Depending on which way that you have your feet, if you were suddenly just to give way, there's a lot more risk to the exercise of the fact that you're going to be dropping your weight on your neck and on your head. So there's a bit more of a safety issue that's going on there. And depending on which way you do it and how you're using your legs and your core, it can put some people in a little bit of an uncomfortable position when it comes to their lower back. Some people call it sort of like a banana handstand, where a lot of people put a lot of stress on their lower back, depending on how they do it. You might get different reaction depending on which way that you're doing it, whether you're facing the wall or whether you're not facing the wall, whether that might make it even safer. From a base standpoint though, I would say the dip is a safer exercise to learn. When it comes to how easy is it to actually learn in itself, I would say probably the dip is an easier exercise to learn. It's probably easier to learn from the standpoint you can make it a safer way of learning just by saying jumping up on the dip and using resistance bands, so you have that assistance. When it comes to the handstand push-up in itself, it's very, very hard to make it, to learn it in a safe manner and to sort of build up to it. The main way of building up to the handstand push-up is building up the strength and the confidence in that position by using the pike push-up. So from a easy to learn and how safe it is, I would say the dip is going to be better in that instance. The other thing we're going to be looking at is going to be sort of a beginner rating, like how regressive and progressive it is. Both of these exercises aren't the most, I would say, beginner friendly or very regressive. Like I brought up before, the dip, you do have the option of using resistance bands. If you're someone that's fairly weak, fairly deconditioned, you can use a heavier band, use it to allow you to complete the range of motion, and then as you get stronger, you start using a slightly thinner band until you're able to do a normal dip, and then you would move in through that way. So it's a fairly straightforward way, but you are reliant on having bands and having multiple ones to be able to do it. When it comes to the handstand push-up, it's a lot harder to make it sort of regressive from a beginner standpoint. One thing that I have seen with people would be just as simple as popping up and just holding the position and just building up the strength, but also the confidence in being in that position. And then you can play around with, you know, the depths of maybe doing sort of half reps just to build up the confidence and work your way towards it. Again, a lot of the time people would use the pike push-up as a beginner exercise to build up the strength towards doing a more, you could say, a more advanced exercise like the handstand push-up. So from a beginner's rating, I would say the dip is more beginner friendly than the handstand push-up. When it comes to which one is going to be best for more advanced people, this is a completely different story. When it comes to the dip, the main way in which you can make it more progressive is literally just adding weight. Very, very difficult to make it more challenging. You could move into doing it on rings, which will take away some of the stability, which will make the exercise harder, but then you will do it for a certain period of time, get used to it like the bar, and then you'll then pretty much force to just adding weight to it to make it more challenging. You could move to doing straight bar ones, which is a great way of strengthening yourself towards doing the bar muscle up, and that's very, very specific to that. It tends to be a little bit more tricep dominant, which is why I think it's a little bit harder, and obviously your body gets in the way a little bit more. However, from a more advanced version of how far can you take this exercise, you're a lot limited when it comes to the dip. When it comes to the handstand push-up, you have a lot more variety. Again, you can just add weight if you want to. You can increase the depth. So again, if you want to do it off something like parallettes, you're going to be increasing the range of motion, which is going to make it a far more challenging. You can then move into changing what you're doing with your arms. So you'll find if you do a much wider one, not only does it change the range of motion, but it sort of changes which muscles are sort of like the main drivers of it, where if you bring your arms in closer, not only will you increase the range of motion of how far it is between lockout and the bottom, but also you're going to be placing a lot more of a stress or more of a focus on the triceps. So it's good for increasing sort of like tricep strength, but it just makes the exercise a lot harder. You can obviously move into more advanced things if you want to do it as a freestanding exercise and make that a skill. And some people will even move it into sort of linking it up with other skills, whether you go from the floor and you pull yourself up and you have that control and that ability there. It's a little bit more advanced progression when it comes to the handstand than it does come to the dip. Final thing is obviously going to be equipment. Which one is going to be sort of, depending on, you know, which one you pick is going to be dependent on which one you need equipment or no. When it comes to the dip, you need to have something you can do a dip from. You can do, like I've said in previous videos, you can do the dip off a pair of chairs, you can do it off a corner table. This isn't always practical. Not everyone always has the right height ones, not always has options or has access to that. Normally you would need either maybe a set of rings to be able to do them off, or you need a proper dip station. When it comes to the handstand push-up, you literally just need a wall that you can go up against. It's safe, that will take your weight, that isn't going to hurt your feet or anything like that, but you just need space. Obviously, if you're able to do a freestanding one, then that's possible. You can use rings, which again, another point you could say in the more advanced, you can then do the handstand push-ups on rings as well, which is even more advanced. So there are ways in which you can, if you want to use equipment and make it more advanced, you can. So from an equipment standpoint, the handstand push-up is going to be better. So on the final opinion, it's going to boil down to a couple of things. They both are pretty good at, one's easier to learn and is safer, one is easier for beginners, one is better for more advanced, one is better for having no equipment, but they're both capable of building strength and building size. What I think it's going to boil down to is what is the reason for why you are looking for a vertical pushing exercise and which one's going to better fit your program. If you're looking for it like the idea of you're doing a pull-up and a row, you're doing a push-up and you're then looking for a vertical pull, so you're hitting it from every different angle, in my opinion, a handstand push-up is going to be better for that. You're doing a vertical pushing motion is going to be more shoulder dominant, hitting your traps, so you're going to get more well-rounded pushing strength than just doing a push-up and also a dip. Some people classify the dip as a vertical pushing, that's why it's in this thing, but I think you're going to get more well-rounded strength if you do the handstand push-up over the dip when it comes to it, using it in that context. If you're just looking for overall size and maybe you'll focus more on a chest exercise, and obviously the dip is going to be better, where the handstand push-up is going to be more shoulder focused, and especially in building the traps as well. So it's going to have to boil down to that for you. In my opinion, between the two, I prefer the handstand push-up over the dip. I prefer the handstand push-up. I like to do it. I like the way that it works. I like the way it feels. I like the muscles that it recruits and the sort of body and the physique that it creates while doing it. That's my opinion. So guys, let me know what you think down below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up. If you want more like this, subscribe, hit the bell so you get notified of whenever I upload, and I'll see you guys in the next video.